Welcome to Yin and Young. The following is a story taken from Chapter 3. I have called it, That's My Brother. I hope you enjoy it. Bobby's mother dropped Bobby at the Smitty's one morning so she could visit the doctor. Bobby's father was there, and he treated Bobby as if he were a customer. Leading Bobby to the table, he handed him a menu, asking him if he would like anything to drink. Chocolate milk? Milk? Orange juice? Chocolate milk, said Bobby. His father walked off to get the milk, saying to his colleagues, That's my boy. Bobby's father returned, put the chocolate milk in front of him, and asked him what he wanted to order. Bobby looked at the pictures on the menu, but there were too many decisions for him. After waiting a moment or two, Bobby's dad said, How about piggies in a blanket? I think you'll like that. What's that? Bobby asked. Oh, you wait and see. You're going to like it, I promise, his father said. Bobby sat there while his father told someone to refill and wipe down the salt and pepper shakers. He moved around the restaurant quickly, opening the cash register for something and grabbing the pile of receipts that had been spiked beside the till. It was a cold January morning and the restaurant wasn't very busy, but Bobby's father looked like he had lots to do. Eventually a bell rang back in the restaurant somewhere, and Bobby's father placed the dish in front of Bobby. It had 3 rolled-up pancakes. Bobby said, Those are pancakes. Yes, right, Bobby's father said. Here, let me cut them for you. Bobby's father cut the pancakes, revealing the sausages that were tucked inside. You see, he said, these are the piggies. He pointed to the sausage with a knife. And the pancakes are the blankets. Piggies in a blanket. Bobby's father poured syrup on the pancakes, and Bobby began eating. Good? Bobby's father asked, as he sat down in front of Bobby. Mm-hmm, replied Bobby. It was delicious. As Bobby ate, Bobby's father cut some more pieces for him and said, You know what your mom is doing? Bobby shook his head, no. She's going to see the doctor. Very soon you're going to have a baby brother or sister. It might be any day now. Would you like that? Then you would have someone to play with. Yeah. Actually, Bobby had no way of knowing if he wanted a brother or sister, since he couldn't imagine it. But his father was smiling and looked excited, so Bobby thought it should be good. We don't know when the baby will come, but when your mom goes to the hospital, Daddy needs to take her. You will stay at the Henrys. Do you remember them? You always eat pudding at their place. Mrs. Henry lets you eat all the pudding you want. Do you remember? Yeah. A week or more after this breakfast, Bobby found himself with his father, in the middle of the night, driving through the dark woods. Bobby had his pajamas on, and they were heading to the Henrys. A small suitcase was in the back of the car. Bobby was nervous going to the Henrys because they had a big dog who always barked and would come sniff around while they got out of the car. The dog was also allowed in the house and followed Bobby around the kitchen, sticking his nose near Bobby's face as he sat at the kids' table eating his pudding. Don't worry, Bobby. You will stay at the Henrys just for the night, and when your mom gets back from the hospital, I'll come pick you up. As they approached the house, the big dog came out, wagging his tail and barking at the car. Bobby's father parked, got out, and came around to the passenger side, lifting Bobby in his arms and keeping him away from the dog's sniffing nose. Brief greetings were exchanged between Bobby's father and the Henrys. His dad set Bobby down, guiding Bobby's hand into Mrs. Henry's, and handing the little suitcase to Mr. Henry. Both Henrys assured Ben that Bobby was going to be fine and not to worry. Ben hurried back to the car, slipping in the snow as he went, and Mrs. Henry guided Bobby through a door to a big bed, and she told Bobby that Archie, the dog, would sleep on the floor opposite to him. She showed Bobby that Archie had his own basket with bedding inside it. As she spoke, Archie was turning circles and preparing to settle. Somehow this made Bobby feel less alone, and both he and Archie soon fell asleep. Things took longer than expected. The days passed. Each morning Ben was welcomed to a warm fire in the fireplace heating the living room. The house was big, with lots of room to play, and Bobby eventually became comfortable with Archie, who was a gentle and friendly German shepherd. He didn't bark as much now that he was familiar with Bobby. When Bobby sat down to play, Archie carefully sniffed each toy that Bobby brought out, then lay on the floor nearby, providing constant companionship. Each afternoon Bobby came around to the kitchen to spy on the little dishes filled with pudding and covered with wax paper, anticipating what each new flavor would taste like. One night it was chocolate, another time butterscotch, and another time coconut. Bobby liked them all, and he looked forward to dinner every night. Bobby was just scooping the last bit of coconut pudding from the dish and brushing away Archie's wet nose, which had touched his ear while sniffing around. Mrs. Henry had been on the phone. "Tomorrow morning your dad will come and get you," Mrs. Henry announced to Bobby at the evening meal. "Just one more night with us." Bobby felt happy that his dad was coming, but also sad. He was enjoying his surroundings and the comfort of the Henrys' home. The next day his father showed up. "Everything went very well," he said to the Henrys. "It's a boy, and yes, he had to be put in an incubator, but the doctor said it was just a precaution. Despite his low weight, the boy is fine, quite healthy. His name was Maxwell." As Bobby kicked off his boots in the landing at their home, Bobby's father went to the bedroom. Together, Bobby's mom and dad came out. His dad said, "Bobby, do you want to meet your brother?" "Okay," said Bobby. Bobby's mum lowered Maxwell down to Bobby's level, and Bobby looked with wonder at this little body with tiny fingers, little nose, and small face. "Say, hi, Maxwell," his father said. "Hi, Maxwell." "Do you want to hold him?" Bobby's father asked. Bobby looked uncertain. "You can. Just hold out your arms like this." Bobby's mother placed little Maxwell in Bobby's arms, and he was amazed. "You see," his father said, "that's your little brother." Bobby started rocking Maxwell side to side, almost instinctively, feeling the warmth of Maxwell's body against his own. It might have been a moment, but to Maxwell it was timeless. "Okay, give him back to me," said his mother. Bobby released Maxwell back to his mother and watched as she rocked Maxwell and walked slowly to the living room where she sat down. Bobby followed his mother into the living room, and he got up on the couch beside her, looking over her arm to see Maxwell's face. "That's my brother," he said to his daddy. Maxwell reached out a hand. "You could put your finger in his hand like this," Bobby's dad said. He showed Bobby how to put his finger out so that Maxwell could grasp it. Bobby put his finger out. Bobby giggled in wonderment. Bobby touched Maxwell's hand with his free hand. "Why are his fingers wrinkled?" Bobby asked. "That's what babies look like when they're born," his mother said. "You were like that too." Bobby was pleased and shocked to have this new brother, and amazed to see such a tiny human, someone that even he could hold in his arms. He jumped down off the couch, grabbed his Gumby and Pokey, and climbed back up. "See, Maxwell, this is Gumby, and this is Pokey." He pushed Gumby, then Pokey, up close to his brother's face. "You can play with the Pokey if you want." Maxwell yawned and rubbed his eyes with his tiny fist, making joop-joop sounds with his mouth. "That's very nice, Bobby," said his father. "You're already showing love to your brother, but Maxwell's too young for toys now. When he gets a little bigger, you'll be able to play together." From that day forward, Bobby had a brother. Now, instead of having a dog sleeping nearby while Bobby played, he had his brother in the jumper, the bassinet, or the stroller. The sounds of cooing or babbling or crying accompanied Bobby everywhere, and seemed to fill all the empty space of the house. The roof didn't seem so high or the floor so cold as before. Everything felt closer. Bobby was completely absorbed with anything related to his little brother. He wished he could use the jumper or stroll in the stroller, but every time he tried, his mother would say, "Bobby, you're too big for that. It's for babies, not for you."